Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. We are in. Hello. I am here with another podcast, and today I have two really awesome, amazing guests on. People I know really well, and I think a lot of our listeners will as well. But I wanted to introduce the pros, Chelsea, and her mom, who should be pro, Layla. And Layla and Chelsea are really special because they are one of the most unique kind of duos I think I can think of, apart from, if you remember way back, Lee Priest and his mum. I don't know, Layla, you'll probably remember Lee Priest and his mum, mother and daughter duo doing bodybuilding. And this is something that I think is really, really cool. So guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good.
It's so exciting to have you both on, and I just sort of thought it would be really nice to open with just telling the listeners a little bit about you both. And Layla, I'd love to kick off with you.
Yeah.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into bodybuilding and how long you've been doing it? And I won't give any spoilers. I'll let you just
Well, it started 2004 when I was working at the Priory at the fitness gym, and my boss put a picture of me in the Muslim Fitness magazine Hot Body of the Year, and I won. And then I went to Fulham for a photo shoot, and they said to me, then you've got the physique and the shape to go places. And that's when it all started. Then I started with, I think it was Pro Lab, which has now changed, and done that for a few years, and done UK BFF and NABA, and then found out about BNBF and started the BNBF. I've done all four of them for a few years. So it's been a long 19, 20 years now.
Yeah. I mean, 2004 start, and before I came on the podcast today, Andrew, my partner, some of you guys all know, on here, was saying how he's seen you compete since he started in 2006.
Yeah.
And as starting on the natural scene in BNBF, when he was in BNBF, etc., and everything else. And he said, you're almost like, you're such an inspiration to so many people because you've been around for that long and you've been so consistent.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first things I wanted to sort of delve into was how you've kept your motivation and what you love about this, like the sport in general, and what's made you keep going through all these years.
I just love the fact, seeing the way I've started, like being toned figure at the start and being like 9 stone 7, I think, my first competition Pro Lab, and it was through then just seeing all the other bodybuilders that I was up against. Like there was quite a few of them that don't actually compete anymore that they inspired me to compete, and seeing my body change every year and things I wanted to progress to look better on stage, better legs, more condition. I've got so much drive. I'm like that in my job and anything I do.
What do you do when you're not being an absolute inspo? And please go and check Layla out, because for any figure champion, me included, coming up through the years, your body is absolute goals, Layla, in every sense. So I will be pushing that. I want you all to go and follow this wonderful woman after this podcast and just see the dedication and consistency it's taken her to get to where she is today. But yeah, tell us a little bit about what you do when you're not bodybuilding.
Well, for years I was a PT and fitness instructor for many years, and I felt like I couldn't do my best with competing, doing both. It doesn't work. Doing 15 spins a week and then trying to get more conditioned, which doesn't work.
Yeah.
I gave it up and I started working at the Victoria Hospital. So I'm nursing auxiliary in theatre recovery. So I've been doing that now for 8 years now. So I work between 37.5 to 60 hours every week. So it is hard.
It's amazing though, because I think, and Chelsea, no doubt you'll go into this as well, but I've got a few clients who are shift workers or who have long sort of arduous hours, especially in your field. And you just don't realize how much that shift work pattern can implicate your training how you eat, your sleep patterns, and to be able to do both. I know you said obviously like doing the PT where you're doing a ton of classes a day is very hard, but even this in a sense has got its own level of stressors that play a part in. How have you I suppose managed the stress factors that come alongside it?
It's been hard with the amount of hours I'm doing, because I'm on my own, so I've got everything to pay, so it's stressful. But I would say when I'm on stage and seeing what I've progressed and what I've achieved, that makes it all worthwhile. All the stress, like train up at 4 in the morning, cardio at 5, gym at 6, work, back to the gym at night. I love a challenge, and I've got so much drive, and I really, really want to do well in 4 weeks.
Well, 4 weeks is the PCA universe, guys, for Layla. And I mean, I've said this before, Chelsea, I'll come to you now, but I've said, Layla, I feel like you've been pro-worthy for the best part of 3 years. And this time around, I'm gunning for you. I think we're all behind you because your physique is at that point where you can't deny the shape, the structure, the muscularity, the conditioning you bring. And I think like every physique reaches a point where if you know anything about bodybuilding, what you're looking at, you can kind of pinpoint and zone in on a physique and think, damn, right, that is what every other aspirational figure competitor is trying to achieve. And so 4 weeks time, I think we're all gunning for you, all gunning for you.
I've got a check-in today of one of my friends, and he said exact words were phenomenal. Never seen you like that, but I've done everything I can possibly do. So I'm ready now, so I've just got to cruise it in now in the next 4 weeks.
Well, I would love to come back to that because I'd love to touch on how you've trained and how you've prepared your mind for the shows going through the seasons, and coaching if you've ever had coaching, if you've not. So hold that thought, because I'm going to come to the mini you over here, Chelsea.
Very long version of Layla.
Absolutely not. You're a little pro in your own right. So tell us about Chelsea. Let's hear about Chelsea.
So I live in Aberdeen. I'm 23 and I'm a midwife. So same as mum, working in the NHS, like really, really long hours. And obviously everyone knows like staffing's just horrendous right now. So everyone's mega stressed. So I work in like the pregnancy A&E kind of part. Midwives love a tea trolley as well. So there's like an abundance of snacks. I don't know if I can swear on this.
You can.
Snacks everywhere. So that can make it quite difficult. So I've been competing only for a year. I've had one competitive season. Obviously been prepped by yourself and Andy for the last kind of year and a half. Obviously the reasons like I started, they kind of vary. So growing up seeing mum compete and like eating out of Tupperware, you're in the and you've got like popcorn and she's got chicken and rice like stinking out the cinema. I wasn't all for it back then. I was like, why are you doing this? This is mad. But kind of as I grew up and I saw the discipline it takes, just so much more respect for it as you get older. Definitely. She was like juggling work and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, I might give this a bash. So I've always been into the gym, as you can imagine. My mum, I was dragged there, not against my will, just while she was working and stuff. So I'd be doing something on some sort of machine. And she's always helped me out with like little plans, all that kind of stuff. And then naturally just it ran its course, and I was like, let's just try bodybuilding. If I don't like it, I don't like it. There's no pressure. It turns out that I love it, just like mum. So yeah, that's.
I just love your story, because effectively, Chelsea, you've been brought up in a bodybuilding household. And mum's got this discipline. Layla, you've been doing your thing and seeing if Chelsea wants to come along to the gym, etc. How long was it that you were going to the gym before you decided, well, this might be something I'm kind of more seriously interested in?
that is a hard one. So honestly, I've been going to the gym since I was about 13, 14, like actually training, and it was weight training, obviously not with like a plan in place, just going about. Usually stick to like the leg press. It was the only thing I felt comfortable doing, and cardio machines. That has changed a lot. So I would say maybe in the last 2 to 3 years, when I've been training in the gym, I've thought, oh, why not just give it a go? Like, I really actually enjoy this. And like I said earlier, worst case scenario, if I don't like it, I just stop. There's no obligation to do it. There was zero pressure whatsoever. Mum was really supportive as well. She was, if you want to go for it, just go for it. So I would say the last 3 years.
Yeah, because I think for the listeners, and this is something like just from a coaching hat perspective that I would love to say here, but it's quite rare to be going to a gym and, even if you don't have a plan, but just to be putting weight on your shoulders or feeling weights in your hands at the age of around 13, right? So like early teens. And, reason why a lot of people who have done sports at a competitive level at school, for example, or have trained or been kind of privy to weights or other types of sports earlier on do well at this later, because they've had that sort of groundwork, if you like. And I think although you've only had the one season, you've had since you were 13 in a gym playing with weights. And for listeners thinking, oh, you can, you're just genetically gifted and everything else, which you partly might be. I think your hard work, you've been, you're similar. I can see you guys, you're so similar. And obviously I know you both from chatting away to you, and Chelsea, obviously having worked with you. You apply yourself in every way to everything you do. So I just see
option though, isn't it? If you want to do something, there's no point just going at it half-heartedly. Like, what's the point in even doing it? And that bodybuilding, that's like, relationships, work, anything that you want to do. I just don't see the point in just kind of doing it. You're only going to get half a result, So what is the go for it? Just absolutely go for it.
100%. And I mean, your first season last year, how did you find the whole thing? Because obviously you've watched your mum do it for years independently. How did you find the whole experience?
It was amazing. But I think I kept having to like pinch myself. It didn't quite feel real at times. And I suppose just throughout the whole journey, I just kept thinking of like mum, and I've seen her doing it a million times. I've had to, like beat her whole body, tan her, all this kind of stuff. All very familiar territory. It was nothing, there was no surprises. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like, kind of the discipline that you have to apply to everything. And I also loved having, obviously you and Andy are absolutely great supports, but having your mum, it's just mad. And your mum's like out doing cardio and you're like, oh, they've dropped my calories again. And she's just so white. She's like, shut up and just get on with it. I'm like, right, okay, that was what I needed. So yeah, it's really unique, I think, when you've got someone so close to you doing the same thing.
100%. How Layla, has it been quite amazing for you to sort of see Chelsea go through the whole same process?
Yeah, when she first told me, I knew she would, because she always said, I wouldn't do that, can't do bodybuilding, it's not for me. And then she ran up and says, I think I'm going to compete. And I said, just go for it. It's absolutely brilliant. And when she rang me up and said she turned pro, I was like, Christ, I was like, I knew she would, because she's got the crazy genetics. She has. And when she turned pro in her first year, I was like, you jammy git.
She's taken a little bit, Layla. You've given her a little bit of yours, you see. This is what it is. I think because last year you did so well at Chelsea with, going in for the first timers at PCA. And for those listening, tell the listeners what you achieved last year.
So last year I competed in PCA first timers in toned figure. So I won my category, then went on to win the women's overall as well. So got a very nice sword. I also competed with WNBF UK in fit body. So after the PCA toned figure, I don't know kind of what happened. I was eating the exact same food, of sticking to the plan. My body just wanted to kind of go a bit leaner. I was in the studio with you, Steph, and I was posing, and you were like, "Oh, we're going to have to feed you some more." And I was like, "Oh, great." You had suggested maybe moving it into Fit Body, which completely terrified me at first. I thought, oh my goodness, like these girls are so much bigger than me, they're harder than me. But as we all know, everyone looks different on stage and on Instagram. It's all an illusion. It's just the angle. So yeah, went on to compete in WNBF UK. Came second to Sam. Sam has a crazy physique, honestly. She's so dense. I was so chuffed to come second to her. If I was going to come second to anyone, it was her, definitely. And then I got an invite to the championships, the Worlds in Vegas, of all places. So I thought, just do it. I wasn't actually going to initially. I thought, oh, nah, like, I don't know how well I'm going to do out there. That's everyone from all over the world. And you kind of get into your own head a little bit. And was backstage with Mum after the UK show, and she was like, "Chelsea, you're going." And I was like, "Oh, am I?" She was like, "Yeah." So I went and I won my category there and got my pro card, which I just never in a million years would have expected. It was never the goal either. It just kind of happened. Still can't believe it now, to be honest with you.
I think there's something so special about being awarded a pro card with an international judging panel, because it's a whole 12, 30 set of judges I've never seen you before, from all various hosting countries around the world, that have all unanimously, come to that decision. And in some respect, like, the WNBF, that sort of elite status for naturals to get to, it's a really, really hard pro card to obtain, but it's an even harder pro card to obtain abroad. And I think that's what made that kind of end of the season for you and for me. And I mean, Layla, you probably feel the same as I do, having been such a massive part in Chelsea's coaching. But I just, when you see a physique that has that worthiness to it quite quickly. So for me, it wasn't even a surprise, if I'm honest.
No, it wasn't. Not at all.
The Chelsea, what on earth's going on? But it takes a bit to sink in, and I think it goes without saying you had an insane first season, and it's now programming that level of mindset, like that pro level mindset, which is hard once you've only just done a first season. It absolutely is. But I go back to saying the years of time and having been in a household with someone who has effectively day in and day out with Layla shown you what is required if you want to do this seriously as well. Layla, your season, your entire career in bodybuilding has been vast. I mean, do you know how many shows you've actually done? Can you count? If you were to guess.
40 more. Easy got to be. I've done 6 in 1 year, and I'm on 2 last year. So I took 2010 out, and obviously with COVID as well. So yeah, I've done, I'll be over 40 more.
That is mental. Over 40 shows.
Yeah, got to be.
It's kind of cool. Like, we're all three of us are sitting here. We're like the 3 generations almost.
Yeah.
Because like, Chelsea, you're the fresh. Yeah, you're the fresh blood. I'm the middle of the road, like, having a midlife crisis point, whether I can do this again or not. And Layla's there like, you can, come on, let's go.
I'm still going at my age, and you think your body, at my age, I'm 49 this year, and you think at 49, this year, I'm looking the best I've ever looked.
Yeah.
Which is getting your head around that, because you think as you get older, but
I just think you're again coming back. I know there's a current theme going through this, but your consistency over the years is it. Yeah, that to me is like, that's the reason our physique gets better is the discipline, the focus, the consistency, the time that you've dedicated to clean eating, to training, to never like, you know, missing a beat. Like tell us what a sort of a typical Layla's year looks like in terms of training and eating.
What I do first. My diet is clean all year. I don't drink alcohol at all.
Yeah.
I don't have takeaways at all. No pizzas, nothing. My diet is clean all the time. Now and again I have a wee bit of chocolate, but that is it. Consistency is the key to me. And I don't see, like off season, I don't go too overweight. As you know, I do stay in conditioned, and I do more of a clean bulk where I add in more carbs and more fats. So to me, that's the key, because I see so many people off season putting so much.
Like blow up.
Yeah, and then how can you see what you've gained when it's covered over? Yeah,
I mean, you've just spoken my language right there. I could do a whole podcast on that one thing alone.
Yeah, and people do say that you need to eat this and eat that to gain muscle. Don't. The key is consistency, smart training. That is the key.
100%. And so because I know a lot of people listening will go, that's mad. How can she, you know, never fall off plan, never have a takeaway, never have like a drink on a weekend? I know a lot of people will listen and go, that is hardcore. And to me, it's admirable, right? Because I just think, I literally sit here and I'm like, you know, doing a little salute to you, because I think it's phenomenal what you do. I genuinely do. I know a lot of people will be like, how do you do that? How do you live your life like that? How could you, do you know how you would answer that question for them?
I just love it. Like people say, like at my work, oh, you need to live a little bit. They enjoy going out drinking weekends. I enjoy training. I enjoy that buzz, that feeling when you get up in the morning, you can't move because you're that sore for training. You see your body change. I love all that. I love that drive, and I've always got a goal to improve. I look at myself in the mirror and I think, right, I want to work on this, I want to work on that. The only way I'm going to do it if I just work hard and train hard. That is it. There's no going out weekends, drinking or having takeaways twice a week. I'm not going to get what I want if I'm doing all that. So that's the drive that I get.
Yeah, and I think it's like that's your normal. Like
that's to me normal life. To a lot of people, it's like, how is that normal? To me, it is. I've done it for that long. Yeah,
I think it's kind of one of those things, like, and with a lot of other areas in life as well.
Yeah,
so society sort of tells you that we should be that person going out on a weekend. We should be this person, just like, you know, doing what everybody else does. And when you're the person that isn't, you're met with a lot of resistance. Like through your years of competing, have you been met with like a lot of people who have found it quite difficult, your level of like focus on something like this?
Yeah, a lot of people, even at my work, even the folk that I used to compete against years ago, that actually are competing again soon, actually. But a lot of people don't get it. I don't think, like my pals about, they never will get that, because today they're like, as I'm going for a check-in today, my pals are looking and they're like, why do you do it? Why do you do train in the mornings, train at night? Seeing your body change like that, how do you enjoy it? It's just because I do. I just love that feeling. I love the adrenaline. I see myself progress every year, get better and better and better. That gives me the drive that I need. And for the next 4 weeks, I'm totally going for this one.
Yeah, you're locked in. You're women on a mission.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Yeah, and I'm so excited about that, genuinely. I think it's amazing to sort of think about, because effectively you're living your life like an athlete would all the time. You're just permanently on thinking about the next progression, the focus that you need for XYZ. You know that the little things count, the food counts, the consistency counts. Chelsea, what's it been like sort of growing up with that around you? Do you think that's made an impact on you now without you even consciously knowing it? Or do you think or like, what's your sort of experience of it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for all the listeners as well, as you can probably tell, mum is quite black and white, which some people may struggle with that, because obviously life isn't black and white. But when it comes to training, eating, her mindset, it really is black and white. Like I said earlier, if you want it, you just got to go and get it. And if you're not prepared to do X, Y, and Z to do it, then you don't do it. So I suppose with the goals that she has, and like we've all been saying, like, she does have a pro-worthy physique, definitely, and she has done for years. And she's just so like get up and go. There's no excuses. Like, God, I can count on both hands how many times maybe something's came up that could have stopped everything. So whether it be other aspects of life, relationships, just general daily stuff that we all kind of deal with, and it's never ever weighed anything for her. She just gets it done. She's like, right, that's not great, it happened, let's move on. Like, I've still got goals to achieve. Yeah, and I just think it's really admirable, actually, to have that sort of dedication to anything, because
yeah,
I think it's quite sad, but a lot of people don't have that drive for anything in life.
Yeah,
which I think I would really struggle with, because now that I'm obviously competing in bodybuilding competitively, I'm like, if I wasn't doing this, what would I actually be doing? And I think growing up with my creature of habit, like, I need structure. So God knows what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. I'm like, what was I even doing before? You kind of forget. But no, seeing her drive and determination, I'm like, well, if my mum can do it, come on, she's 49. What excuse do I have? Any excuse I give her, she's like, no, next. That's
have you ever had people sort of question you about your mom, like be like, oh my God, why does your mom do bodybuilding? Have you ever had that kind of thing?
Yeah, so quite a lot, actually, more so when I was younger. I think I pick up on it now more subtly, like the more subtle comments, and they're not always positive. So when I was younger, because it was really not normal for your mum to have muscles, coming to pick you up from school and she's got like guns are out, shoulders are like boom, all swole, and they're like, oh, your mum looks like a man. And I'm just like, right, don't get me started, okay? And I think that was partly the reason why I had a lot of negative feelings towards bodybuilding in the beginning, because everyone was telling me this is not normal. So that was kind of like, it was strange. So I'm having all that, everyone telling me this is weird, but then at home it's so normal. And you don't know what to think or what to feel, because yourself, it's not the norm, because if it was, everyone would be like that. So yeah, as I've gotten older, it's more women that will project their thoughts and feelings towards how mum looks. So if someone's passionate about bodybuilding, someone else will pipe up like, oh, your mum competes, let's see a picture. And you show a picture, but I'm almost reluctant sometimes, because I know what these people are like, and you kind of see their eyes go, oh, that's a bit extreme. And obviously not to shame anyone or anything at all, but it's more socially acceptable to be like morbidly obese nowadays than to lift and take care of yourself. Obviously mum is the extreme end of that scale completely, but people just don't like when someone is committed to something and it's maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree with you on that. It's like when you look good and you're somebody who's fit, it's almost as if you get more negative, or not even necessarily negative, just more judgment.
Yeah.
Because it makes people who maybe are a bit overweight, it shines a light on insecurities, doesn't it? Regardless of whether it's overweight or whether you don't like the way you look or something like that. It's like if you see somebody who's fit walking down the street that looks great, a lot of people immediately internalize and go, what does that kind of emulate? What insecurity does that bring out of me? And can sometimes then come out in like a derogatory comment or a judgment, or and I definitely agree on the comment of it's more acceptable right now to be overweight, and it's glorifying something that I don't necessarily agree with.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with, if you're, you were to look at your BMI on a scale, if you're sitting on the higher end and you're technically obese, I don't believe in BMI at all. I think it's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
But and you're happy, like you're happy within yourself, you're content. So what? You know, you're happy.
Yeah.
So if someone else is absolutely shredded and jacked and they're fun, they're not projecting their thoughts onto anyone else. They're just in their own lane, doing their own thing. Like, why? Like, what gives you the right to then pass judgment on that person?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're happy and you're doing your own thing and you're harming no one, why can't you just keep it to yourself? Which is, maybe I just feel a bit more passionately about this because I grew up with so many negative comments about the way she looks, and so I'm so defensive now, actually. So for the listeners, you know, I am a nice person, I'm not aggressive. I think everyone can relate. You do just get very protective over your family, don't you? And especially when it's something that you're into as well. So yeah, if anyone says anything now, I just laugh because I'm like, well, like you said, Steph, it's usually their insecurities that are prompting that comment. So like, that's a problem, not a me problem.
100%. And I think like, and something I was going to ask you, Layla, was how you've sort of seen female bodybuilding change over the years. Because even when I started, right, which was in 2013, so that's a good what? You were in 2004, was it?
Yeah. It's a
God, that's
lot.
like
It's a lot.
9 years after you. It was still quite kind of, people would still frown at me and go, what are you doing in 2013? So how has that changed for, or how have you seen it kind of?
I would say back then, even backstage with all the girls, everyone got on. I would say more so now that the toned figure girls, back then it was just toned, trained, toned body fitness.
Oh yeah, I remember Body Fitness with UKBFF.
I had the all-in-one blue one on with UKBFF.
Yes. Oh my God, I remember looking at that through the magazines, all-in-ones.
Yeah, I had the two-piece. Everyone wore black two-piece, no sparkles. Everyone was just the same. And then you wore the one-piece. Me and my pal Len Carmichael that used to compete, we ironed all the gems on because back then they were about 600-700 pounds. You couldn't afford it. But then I think as the years have gone by, the toned girls are a lot harder. The trained girls are a lot harder. It's even the bikini girls, like some of the trained bikini girls, and they're harder than some of the toned girls back a few years back. But I would say it's more acceptable now with women competing, because now with me myself judging, I'm judging so many females on stage. 2 years ago, you would lucky if you get many females on stage. It was more of a guy thing, but now I think more women more women now are on stage than there are guys. Because you've got the bikini, you've got the toned, you've got trained. I think they've got a physique in some of the categories, in some of the federations. I'm not too sure about all of them, and they've not really got bodybuilding anymore. I've not got a clue because everything's changing so fast. But I think it's more acceptable now with women being more toned, because more women want that look now, especially in my daughter, the small waist, the big glutes, and the big quads. The more women, even that don't compete, all want that look now. So they all wanted to be stick thin, but now they're all wanting, like my daughter is,
like that thickness in the lower body.
Look. So it's more acceptable now, definitely.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because if I think back, and I think back right to even, do you remember Louise Rogers? Like way back, Louise Rogers.
Yes.
So Louise Rogers is like one of the very first people that I even had like on my wall in my room. I think she was the first. She was the first female figure IFBB pro for Britain ever. And I remember thinking, that is the look I want. And even then, that IFBB figure pro look was completely different to where it is now. I mean, she still had the wonderful X-frame, beautiful quads, lovely cap delts, but nowhere near the level of condition that some of these girls now are at, you know? And I think if you even look at kind of the top of the IFBB levels, they're starting to hone it back a little bit and split it off into like WPD now again, getting the women's physique back so that figure can soften up a wee bit. But I agree with you. I think before, and even before I started, it was so much softer than, or just more toned and shapely rather than being as hard as nails as some of the girls are now for the smaller classes. And body fitness, yeah, I remember the body fitness class.
I loved that class. It was brilliant.
So did I, yeah. UKBFF, of course, when UKBFF were really the front runners in the UK, and then that all kind of split off, didn't it, into PCA and Two Bros, etc., and all of that. I won't go down that big route of everything that went on then. But what would you say would be some of like the highlights of your competitive career? Because you've competed through many federations now.
Yeah, started UKBFF in NABA. My first year was ProLab Classic. Now it's obviously the one in the 4th of June I'm doing the guest appearance for. That's Muscle XS now. So I remember coming second there, and I didn't have a clue about posing. Stood on stage like a coat hanger. I looked, honestly, I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I had a bikini on from Topshop.
Love it.
Cost £6. And then I come second to there, and then I done the NABA toned figure, and I got a bikini made of a girl in England, and I won that out of 11 girls. That was my second competition. And then from there I progressed and won. I changed federations to IFBA, the one I'm doing the judging for as well. And 4 times Miss Universe for them. So I've reached that level with them, so I can't go any further with them. So that's when I've switched. Well, I've done BNBF as well, and won a few Scottish shows with them, but never. I was always in between categories. I was never toned, and I was never trained. I was always in between. Lean, really top half was like shredded, and my legs were always softer. It was a mixed match. I didn't flow, so I couldn't get anywhere with them. So then that's when I moved to when I was with before the PCA, and obviously PCA last year I won the Scottish and won the overall. So I got a sword just like Chelsea did. It's
mum and daughter. Like, have you not done like a double sword picture yet?
We've got a sword. We've Chelsea done a picture of 2 of us together with the swords.
Brilliant.
And then obviously I won won the British. I think there's 13 or 14 of us on stage. And I got an invite to the universe, but I didn't really think I was going to win the British, because when you're backstage with being a judge, it's the worst thing. You're judging everyone backstage by yourself. I had myself placed 5th, 6th.
Yeah, it's interesting actually because now having had the judging experience as well for the past, you just physiques. You know what you were looking at before, but the criteria and actually mapping it out and working through the symmetry rounds and polarity rounds of posing and presentation, it just gives you a different edge to what you're looking for in a physique. And you literally do it's almost like you go along a line and you take the heads off everyone. You're just looking at ratios, insertions, muscle bellies, like conditioning, detailing, and you do the same stage. And it's a minefield, but then you revert occasion. You won that one.
And when I won, my face said it all. I was gobsmacked. But then I see the pictures, and I was like, Christ, was that me? Because I've never ever had that condition. I think it's consistency, a long diet where I've got really granite and grainy. That's years of training, years and years of hard training. That's the only way you're going to get that condition.
How long are your preps?
I've been on prep
kind of a roll off like an off-season week into a prep, or how does it work?
I'll probably do the same as Chelsea. 25-30 weeks. So, and I go more strict as the weeks go on, and I don't have refeeds, I don't have treats, I don't have any of that. I'm too focused. It's over 100% or nothing. That's just me, and it works for me. And it may not work for other people. So I know some people have refeeds, it works for them, but with me it doesn't.
And do you coach yourself? Have you always coached yourself?
Always coach myself.
You know
which
your
is,
body. Mhm.
yeah, I know how my body works, and I always get one of my friends, Jimmy, obviously you know Jimmy, to have a look at me
Yeah.
every week now. So I trust him because he's seen me from day one for competing, the very first show.
He knows your body. Yeah, yeah, he knows
So anyone knows
what's
if I've changed or if that needs to come in. So I trust his judgment. But I've always done my own prep. Having IBS, I can't have certain foods in my diet, and I've even having sweet potato and stuff like that doesn't work for me at all. So my
No,
diet
I
is
mean,
pretty bland.
yeah, I think Chelsea, even you and I had this conversation about taking sweet potato because I get really digestive stress with sweet
Yeah.
potato. I don't tend to put it in people's diets unless they have a flavor enjoyment of it.
Mhm.
But I know we had it in. I know Andrew had sweet potato in your diet for a bit last year. Chelsea didn't they? And we took that out. I also remember switching your entire carb up to basically rice cakes about 2 days before. We won't tell them that though. But yes.
I was I can't drink a lot of water and I'm munching on these dry rice cakes. Oh my god. But you know, it was much better than having to worry about sweet potato and how that was going to make me feel. Yeah, it's really strange actually how different foods can affect you in different ways. White potato, I'm totally fine, but sweet potato, I just start to like swell like a balloon. It's just
Yeah. I mean, sweet potato is more fibrous. So, and it is, I actually find that if it's not prepared properly, or if you do eat it with the skin on, or if it's not been washed carefully, sweet potato can be really just very irritable on the bowel and in your digestive system for a lot of people. But it's also a lot softer in terms of breaking it down.
Yeah.
It can go right through you, and it can be extremely
Mhm.
you're not
nasty.
for your show, are you?
No. Yeah, I think that's a pretty, it's nice to hear that you coach yourself and you've got that level of understanding about your own body. And I think there's
Yeah.
something to be said for that, because nowadays, and I do believe this as well, I think, you know, even for me, if going into my next contest prep, I think I will probably seek the external eye of a coach, not so much because I don't know what I'm doing, but because for me, coaching in the industry, when I'm coaching so many people, it takes the stress away from me.
Definitely.
That's sort of the thing. But up until now, I've done the same as you. I've coached myself through it, just purely from knowing my physique, and I'm very thankful I've got somebody in my corner that can look, you know,
Yeah.
Andrew can have a wee look at me. And you've got Jimmy there who can just take a tap in, and he's seen you for years.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that. You don't, learning how you respond, learning how you react, if you can keep yourself in a certain condition for a long period of time, you can then play with things quite well and see what works, what doesn't.
Definitely.
Certainly, like for you, the more experienced competitor, you know what you need to do. With something like, in terms of what we did with you, Chelsea, you went through, of course, your first like intense contest prep, top to bottom. We took a ton of weight off you in your first season.
I know.
I mean, was it what you expected when we got you down, when you were starting to like really get into the end of it, which was pretty challenging? And I know obviously for everyone's first time prep can be, you've never been there before, it's new territory, but
yeah.
How would you explain that experience from a first time perspective?
I suppose to begin with, we did like a little body recomp. So I thought, oh, you know, so I was still having nice things like bagels, and it was all right actually. And then your weight becomes more stubborn, and once you lose that kind of water weight, the initial weight loss slows down, and I was like, oh no. So then obviously the calories were getting cut, but they were never extremely low, which is what I really liked about you and Andy, was you're not about starving clients. So
no.
I was still full, but obviously just hunger hormones and everything all to pot. I just felt really hungry all the time. And it's a funny one, because when you start prep, usually if you're like myself, you're a little bit heavier than you'd like to be, and your mindset is kind of, oh, I'm so big, I want to get smaller. And then as you start to get smaller, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm actually so small. I remember saying this all the time to the studio staff, like, I'm tiny. How am I going to do this? And you're like, it's fine. Stop stressing. But you to the other. You really do.
Yeah. It's like small, not in the sense of you're actually small. It's like, I was trying to explain this, losing weight and losing fat are very different things. Losing fat to then really draw in and showcase the muscle underneath, whilst keeping, obviously with you, Chelsea, and what we do with all of our guys, keeping the calories as high as possible throughout the entire dietary phase, but time is your biggest commodity. So starting with plenty time that allows you to chip away but keep as much of that tissue on the frame. And then if you lose a little bit too quick, we can always put food back in, but you can't make up for lost time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the huge thing. Time. And people always go, with natural bodybuilders in particular, why are you starting with that much time out? Well, there's a reason. And if you want to get to the end result with that still fullness, density, tissue, and the fat loss not etching away into that muscle, then you really want to utilize as much of that as possible. People who do maybe a natural competitor's diet within a 15 to 20 week time frame and absolutely smash the arse out of it, drop the calories low, cardio high, you end up with quite a tired, fatigued, and possibly less muscular physique on stage. Again, just talking like on the natural side of things. So I think it's really hard sometimes to understand why we do it like this, but at the same time, it provides the best result.
Yeah, and I take it slow, to be honest. I wouldn't want like a crash course of a prep. I think it's quite mentally taxing as well. Especially towards the end, because you really do get into your own head about absolutely everything, and you're constantly critiquing yourself. But Instagram's such a big thing now, so I know everyone says they don't do it, but people listening, I know you've all done it. You search people that you know you're going to be up against on stage, and you're looking at their shots and their back shots, and you're like, oh, but I don't have this, or they have that over me. And yeah, it's a mind. Yes.
Yeah. It is actually, it's a pretty good bit of this chat as well to talk about. Like, obviously, Chelsea, you and I have spoken about this before, and I think all of us have done it. Layla, how do you find the social media aspect? Because I remember even when I started back, there was nowhere near the amount of Instagram. I was showing Chelsea the other day my very first Instagram picture on here in 2012, and she's laughing at me, right? And it was horrendous. It's like some grainy, she's doing, listening, trying to pretend like she looks like me, but it wasn't as cool as the picture, the original one anyway. Yeah, it was this grainy shit Instagram photo. That was 2013. What about you starting 2004?
It's totally changed now. Back then, obviously, you never looked at anyone's other pictures because there was never much to go on Facebook and Instagram. Even now, though, I don't know any competitor that I'm going to be up against. Obviously, it's on PC official page. You look on there, obviously my pictures are on there. I've had a lot more followers recently, but I've not posted any pictures or any videos for the last 4 weeks. And I'm not going to.
Yeah. I love that, though. I love that. It's like
there's nothing up on my social media now, and there won't be until after my show. Because I know folk do look, because you look on page, but me, my focus is me to be better than I was last time, and I'm ready now, and that's why I probably do a long diet as well. I won't want to play catch up on a diet because you're stressing out and your body holds water. So yeah, I'm ready now to compete. So I'm just cruising and chipping away on little bits and pieces, so that I'm not going to put anything on social media. I would love to, because underneath here.
Honestly,
I love it, guys. Like, I sat next to Layla on a judging panel last week at the Granite City IBFA, and her delt was literally the size of my head. So if anyone's scared, they should be.
my pal did a video, and all you could see when you were along the panel, Layla says, your delts, they're massive.
Amazing. Your delts are so great. I mean, you're so well put together, and like I think I was chatting to Chelsea about what what is the perfect look for a figure, for trained figure, for, you know, the slightly more muscular look? And I think often people all will jump to bigger is best. And I completely disagree with that. Like, I actually think, well, like I say it all the time, shape wins shows. And you have to have that perfect blend of that lovely full tissue, but you're hard and you're conditioned, and then it sits beautifully on that capped, you know, that broad clavicle top line into the neat waist, into those lovely sweeping quads, hamstrings, tight glutes, and a perfect then presentation and polishing of that. And that to me that's figure in its essence. And that's you. That is exactly you. And whenever I look at you, you're maybe not ever necessarily the biggest trained girl on stage.
No, I'm not.
But you're so well balanced and proportioned, and your conditioning and muscularity is just like perfectly blended for me when I'm looking at kind of figure and what it should be.
Thank you. I'm not the biggest on stage, but when you're the condition I get into on stage, you do look big. You know, the condition I get into. But no, I was up against some girls at the British, and that definitely wasn't the biggest on stage. And I was looking at them backstage going, Christ, look at the thighs and shoulders. But it's not until I see my condition on stage and posing after a couple of minutes how your muscles swell and you look so much bigger and more vascular. You look better each 10, 20 seconds on stage. You know yourself when you're judging stuff, is that the people come on stage and you put them all in there first, second, third, and after about a minute of posing, you're like, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, you're switching it.
It. The more vascular, the fuller they look with posing. You look.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's insane how much the posing can bring the vascularity or the conditioning to the surface, and how it does the opposite for some people who don't have posing fitness. They start to fade out and blur out because they can't hold they can't hold the isolations. So they start to get kind of a bit, you know, filmy, which is really interesting. So yeah, it is definitely, the posing can make or break a physique if you know how to really do it. Which is that kind of the main area you've been focusing on? Chelsea was saying you were doing some posing.
Yeah, it's changed now, because obviously I don't know what PCA is different, because obviously I'm trained figure. So the posing is slightly different to what I'm used to doing. Yeah.
So like in their quarter turns, they have the hand on the hip and one off. And then in theirs, they've got their side chest and side tricep poses, and they're just a little bit more specific with how they like them.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah. To get those nailed and you'll be on the money.
So I'm seeing you tomorrow.
Coming up for some posing and training. She's going to put me through training. I'm going to put her through posing. I know. So yeah, I mean, I think if I was to sort of, I don't know, I guess give the listeners an insight into, if you were both actually from your own perspectives, to say what are some of the key things that would make you great at bodybuilding, or what are some of the key, because you've both come from such, obviously you've got one person here that's got tons and tons and tons and years of experience, and then Chelsea, you've seen it all, and now you're coming into that as well. If you were to give a listener a takeaway of how to become the best version of themselves if they're coming into figure, what would it be?
I think you really do have to believe in yourself. You really do.
That's a good one.
You can have lots of people who believe in you and can support you, but at the end of the day, if you don't believe in yourself, it doesn't matter how many people you've got around you who are supporting you and kind of supporting you through the whole process. If you don't believe in yourself, that's it. It does just fall apart. And I have to be really, really resilient as well. And just accept there's days where you're not going to want to do it, where you're going to question why you do it. A lot of different emotions, actually. Sometimes, because of societal norms, you do actually get made to feel kind of guilty for being so passionate about something. And I don't know if other people can resonate with that, but personally, if girls that maybe I work with and people who don't quite understand, and their weekends are so different to mine, and they're kind of like, oh, why do you do that, or why are you not doing this? Or if you're in a relationship, you know, and they're not bodybuilders, then that's also very difficult. So lay some ground rules, expectations. You touched on that quite a lot, Steph. I do think the relationship aspect of it is probably one of the most influential to your journey. If they're bored with you, then it makes it so much easier. But if they're constantly butting heads with you, I don't even know how you could do it, to be honest. And if anyone's listening to this going through that, then, you know, hats off to you, because it must be very difficult.
Yeah, and you've gone through all of this actually with Dan, your partner, and how's that been for you? Because he gets it, but he's not a bodybuilder, is he?
Yeah, so I think initially, obviously he knows mum competes, all the rest of it, and he knows how much commitment it takes, and he also knows that I'm also a bit of a freak, so if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. So when I told him I was going to compete, he was actually chatting to me about this today. He remembers looking at me going, oh no. I think he just thought I was going to be super lean, super grumpy, you know, really focused on eating every 2 to 3 hours, that kind of thing. But actually that's not the reality of it. It's such a long process. And because it's so gradual, you don't just wake up one day and you're absolutely jacked, you know. You don't notice it like so he was always supportive, but like you say, Steph, because he doesn't do it, I think he was a bit hesitant at times. Maybe I got on his nerves a little bit when you know, sitting munching on my rice cakes at 2 a.m. because I'm hungry and can't sleep, and he's like, oh, stop it. But now he's the most supportive he's ever been. I think after he saw me on stage, it finally clicked, and he was like, right, I get this. Okay, this is why she's doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and we train together as well, so that helps. We meal prep together. So he's interested, but I just don't know if he'll ever do it. But yeah, really big supporter, really big help, and he keeps me sane throughout the whole thing. So
yeah, and I totally echo that. I think having a partner in your life that understands why you do this and supports you through it, even if they aren't bodybuilders, or if they are, you know, I'm on the flip side. I have one that is a bodybuilder, and it's eat, breathe, sleep bodybuilding sometimes, and sometimes it's like, right, we need a break from the bodybuilding for a second here. It's like the opposite sometimes, you know what I mean? You to have that person in your corner is really, really great. But I've also been in the opposite, the flip side, where I've been with partners in previous lifetimes where it was very obvious we were just not going to get on actually doing this goal. And ended some of my relationships prior. I don't know how like you feel about this, Layla. Have you got a budding person in your life, or have you found people have been supportive through your journey?
No, but myself. No. The one that helps me a lot, obviously, is my daughter, like you, Chelsea, and then my son, Liam. My son stays with me, so truthfully, I've not got time for a partner.
Yeah.
I'm too focused on my training. The last partner I had, he did compete, which was quite a while ago now, but you need someone that loves not bodybuilding, so it's into some sort of fitness, whether it's boxing, hiking, cycling. It's got to be someone that understands what you do and understands the commitment. And no, my lifestyle is the gym. I love going hill walking. I'm always out walking if I'm not in the gym. So for me to date someone that didn't do that sort of stuff, I don't think it would ever work, especially now at my age, because the older you get, the less rubbish I'm going to put up with.
Yeah, and like I think as well, like I think I can safely say for all three of us on this podcast that we're all strong women.
Yeah. Very.
And it's like
at times, I think.
What did you say, Chelsea? Sorry.
It makes it difficult at times for your partner. You know, if you're so strong-headed, and obviously there's a bit of give and take in a relationship, but if you're doing something like bodybuilding or any competitive sport, you've got to be selfish to an extent, and not selfish. Be like, these are like my non-negotiables. I need to do this every day, and if you can't kind of accept that or work around it, then how is it going to work in the long run?
Yeah, Completely agree. Yeah.
Everyone needs their goals because maybe they have their own, you know, work's a big thing to them. And if they don't do X, Y, and Z in a day, then maybe, you know, it's not going to work with you if you can't accept that. So yeah, it's not a bad thing.
No, I agree with that though. I think, I think a certain type of person is drawn to bodybuilding, female bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I think the more you go up in the classes, like the figure classes, trained figure, the more that demands of you, not only physically, but you need to be determined and focused upstairs. Like you need to be kind of, I think that's a natural thing that a lot of females I've come into contact with, certainly, that are good friends of mine, people like yourselves as well, you know, we all have it in common, and it is that driving force to want to be better, to discipline ourselves. And you need a strong man to deal with that as well, I think.
There's not many around here.
Layla, you know I'm on the hunt. I was sat next to her on the judging panel the other day, and I was like, I'll do some scouting today and see if there's anybody nice here.
I'm moving to Aberdeen.
I know, she's like, everyone's way nicer up in Aberdeen. I was like, well, I'm not sure. But Layla, if I was to ask you the same question from Chelsea, if you could give, any budding coming into the sport, or maybe they're in their first or second season, some words of wisdom or some advice or things you've learned, what would it be?
I would say do it for you, no one else. Do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency is the key. And then, truthfully, you've got to love the sport. The amount of people that go into the gym and like, oh, I've got to train tonight, I can't bother. You've got to love the sport. You have to. You've got to love the challenge, the drive. You're going to get people that will make nasty comments. So I get a few of them on Instagram. I've had about 5 in the last 2 days.
Really?
Yeah, but I send a little message back, reading your face, and block them, because I find it quite funny. So you're going to get folk that will try and put you down, and if you're first starting off, it does get to you. But now I just find it quite funny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a strong woman. I like the way I look. So you have to be prepared. No, you're going to get nasty comments. You're going to get folk saying stuff. You just have to let it go over the head. You've got to, because it is different. It's not so much different now. Back in the day, it really was, but more. It's not so much now. But you're going to get negative feedback and negative comments of people. You've got to be strong-minded, most definitely. And just take it on the chin and just carry on. But do it for you, no one else.
Yeah, I love that theme, and I think that's a great place to sort of wrap up.
Yeah.
Any time you decide to do something that betters yourself or shows success, there's going to be people on the fringes. And I said in a recent podcast, I kind of call them confused admirers, people who say things. Yeah, people who say shitty comments or negative comments, they're just confused admirers. They don't know what to do. They're like, oh, there's something in front of me that's successful and working hard and doing all the things that I want to do, but I can't really do. And I'm really amazed at what they're doing, but I don't really want to show them that. So they're just confused, And I sort of think that through line of, if you've decided to do a bodybuilding show and say you've not done it yet, but you've committed to it, follow through and make the journey and enjoy the journey and stay on your road, and don't let anything else kind of come in and infiltrate that. And the same for people who are perhaps a season or 2 seasons in, like where you are, Chelsea, where you've proven to yourself that you can do it, and you're now going back in for another goal, and people are now watching what you're doing because you've now shown you can do it. So there's an element of then people coming into that saying, what, you're doing this and you're doing that, why are you doing this and why are you doing that, and trying to kind of put their own questions to you about why you're doing things in a certain way, and that comes with its own issues itself. And then, like you've just said there, Layla, you're at the top of your game, you're still getting people in your inbox. It comes all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then I do get people at work that admire me for what I do. They met the folk today and I was getting changed in the change room, and they go and get changed in the toilet there. Go in the toilet and get changed. They put me to shame. So it's nice. I do get a lot of good, nice comments off my friends. But then you do get the odd one or two that do try and put you down.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
it
think-
doesn't faze me at all. It doesn't faze me at all.
Yeah. Sorry, Chelsea, what did you say?
Like you'll get that no matter what though, even if you're
Yeah.
not, if you're doing something that's not quote unquote normal, then you will get comments. But yeah, I think if you just flip the way you look at it and you're like, oh, you know, okay.
Yeah.
Who wants to be normal? Who wants to be normal? Not me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know, neither do I. I was chatting to a really lovely lady who's coming in for PCA Scotland this weekend, posing client of mine, just gone there a couple of days ago, and she was the same. She was like, you know, I gave up trying to be normal, whatever it was years ago, and she owns it. Exactly those words, which I love. Like, strong woman. She loves training. It's her, you know, it's her release mentally. It trains her body. She feels great. She's the best she's ever looked. She's, you know, in control of herself.
Definitely.
And I think that's something that I think a lot of us, you know, we lack is being in control. And we're always trying to sort of do what other people do, or fit the mold, or follow the crowd, and, you know, bodybuilding is completely not that. So you're really trying to focus on internally bettering yourself and knowing what you want as well, which I think is pretty cool. So thank you guys. Thanks so much for coming on. Any last for our listeners?
Go for it.
I stay the same. Do it for
Go
you.
for it.
Else.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, if people want to come and find you guys, can you tell us your Instagrams or your Facebooks or wherever's best to find you?
I'm on Instagram. It's Layla Allen 11.
Awesome.
I don't even think I know mine off the top of my head. I think it's just Chelsea Doherty 1 on Instagram. Yeah, if you can follow me.
I will tag you both on this podcast. And honestly, guys, these two ladies are amazing people that I've had the pleasure of coaching, of course, Chelsea and Layla, knowing through the years, and also getting to know so much more now as well. And I know myself, but if anyone has any questions, wants to pick your brains, are they okay to message you guys on Instagram? Awesome.
Yeah, most definitely.
The more we can kind of talk and just share experiences, and for listeners, I know you all reach out and ask us questions and things like that. These guys, especially Layla, you know, Layla's been doing this for 20 plus years now, and Chelsea is fresh to the game as well in terms of having that first timer experience, and, you know, right off the back of that. So wealth of knowledge on this podcast, and it's just such a unique experience to have you both on, and it's just super cool because I think you're probably the only mum and daughter duo in the whole of the UK right now, competing together. Who knows, you might both be on that PCA stage together one day.
That would be amazing.
I'll still be competing at 50.
Yeah, can you imagine you both in the class together though? That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Mum's got
That's
a Zoom.
What's in there? By that point though, Chelsea, she'll have like bionic limbs or something, full on. Have digital. Yeah, it'll be amazing. So, Layla, good luck. 4 weeks, universe. Yeah. Make sure you're all supporting her on the gram, and we're gunning for you. Absolutely gunning for you. And Chelsea, her second season. Let's wish her luck on her prep. Also to the WNBF Worlds in her very first pro show. So one to watch for sure. So thank you so much, ladies, and we'll chat again soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Peace out.
Bye bye.